Paul Wilkinson and we're filming from my home in Kathmandu. Today I'm going to give you a little introduction to talking bowls. So only about 1 bowl in 100 are talking bowls, and mostly only with the old bowls. And what you're looking for is something which has the bottom that vibrates and the side vibrates with different notes. So I've already put water in some of these. I've already tested these out from hundreds and hundreds of bowls. So I'll give you a little bit of an example. So you play these in a slightly different way than you would with a normal bowl. So with a normal bowl you would have a flat hand like that. With a talking bowl I want the bass to vibrate. So it doesn't have to be a big space, but I want to have as much space as possible, and also having that sort of flexibility of your hand gives you some variety of movement and of tone. And then also I have my fingertips overshooting like that, so that when I'm tilting the bowls being a mess, when I'm tilting the bowls I'm able to catch them. Okay. So one of the things you need to watch for is the edge of the bowl and the stick getting wet as that did. So some of them work with the leather and some with the wood, but you generally want the wooden side because the talking bit is the higher notes. But I'll try with this and just see. So you can see it's still doing the talking, and you can actually see it's pulsing from the inside. It's right in the middle, it's making a pulse. I'll do that hard again so you can probably see the spray even if you can't. So the bass is boof, boof, so it's building up a sort of resonance inside. So there are a number of uses for these. I quite often introduce workshops with them because it produces a very sort of ethereal, unusual space, and it's like an internal space which tends to bring the quietness of the group. So it brings their concentration, brings a sense of sort of mystery. But their primary use is for meditation and for if you're using in a shamanic context, they use the sound of the talking bowls to call the ancestors and to call the spirit world. So they literally think of it as the voices of the dead coming through the sound. So I'm going to get a few different ones going so you can see the variety, and including, there are things like these little bowls as well. So that will need very little water. Maybe that will do it. This is a very rare shape of bowl. I don't know if the camera can pick up on that, but you can see the flexing at the bottom of the bowl. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the water around, so the water's literally picking up the vibrations in the bottom of the bowl and moving over to the sides of the bowl, and then you're getting the harmonics between the two different parts. I'll try that with the leather as well. Quite often the leather dampens the... So you can see the leather dampened out the talking there. So I'll try that again with an even smaller version of the same. Probably a smaller stick. Very, almost like birds. So these are also really interesting for musicians. I've had a number of musicians buying these for their various albums, and I've recorded with them as well when I'm making film music. It's a little bit too wet still. So you can see this one probably needs a fraction more water, so I'll pour. So one of the indicators is when you've got these lines inside, if you fill up from the lines to the rim, you get an absolutely exact amount of water. And also sometimes if you're playing it or striking it and you're running a tap just with a sort of dribble of water, when you get the right amount of water, it makes a sort of whoop sound. So you see what I'm doing with my fingertips. I'm ready to... Sometimes you get these sweet points which work better. Still a bit wet. So you can see what I've done is I've used a smaller playing stick, and that's bringing out the higher notes. So let's try this big one. This is a very thick bowl, and it's quite unusual for a bowl that thick to work as a talking bowl, and also a very ancient bowl, many hundreds of years old. Let's try with the leather. No. I really need it. Let's try with a bit less water. That's better. So you can hear as I'm pour that into there and see where we... You really need exactly the right amount of water. See, so with too much water was nothing. A little bit less, and I think, yeah, now we got the right amount. So with these things, it's often trial and error. Maybe even a little bit less. Again, it depends a lot with the bowls. Occasionally, you'll have a bowl like this big one, which will produce a strong pulse in the bass, maybe because the bass is so much thinner than the sides of the walls. And then it's often about the weight of the water. With that, you might want a lot more water. But with you, usually it's about a centimetre deep, or a little bit more than that. So usually, sort of like if you're dipping your finger in, it's like to the end of your fingernail is generally the amount. But you actually want to try it by ear and play around with it. And sometimes you'll find indicators with marks on the outside, or decorative rings where you're filling up from the ring to the edge. So those sorts of things are things to watch out for. You can find talking bowls in smaller bowls like this as well. So when I'm processing, looking through things and working out what I've got when I'm buying bowls, I always check for the water. So that's also a talking bowl. I don't know if the microphone's picking this up, but you've got like multiple harmonics in the notes in the bowl. Yeah. So it's just a matter of trying it until you've got exactly the right amount of water. There. So some bowls will do this when it's struck, but not when it's played. Generally, I'll only call something a talking bowl if it will do it when it's played as well. So you can see you've got these amazing, super high frequencies. So sometimes people call these dolphin bowls as well, or water bowls. But I think the word talking bowl makes more sense because it sounds much more like a human voice, and also because the practices I found here that relate to it are also to do with it being like the ancestors speaking. Try that off again. Actually, I'll leave that because but you could see the note was getting higher and higher. So I'm going to demonstrate using this one. One of the practices I do with it. I'm such a naturally messy so I'm resisting the urge to dry the bowls on my shirt. So let's just get the right amount. So you can hear we've got that consistent humming sound from the bowl, and then we've also got the pulsing, and we've got the voice. So over a process of playing, I would begin to really get to know the bowl. I begin to really feel in all the different types of resonance that will happen. So you're trying to really flow into it in a relaxed way, so you're really present. So you allow yourself to get completely absorbed into the sound. So what I'm allowing myself to do is for my conscious mind pays attention obviously to the playing and to the responsiveness of the bowl. So there's a sort of internal dialogue happening between the sound and the playing and the pressure and the random rhythmical sides as well. So it's like a sort of, because of the random quality, there's this amazing dialectic going on, a little bit like surfing or like swimming in big waves, or doing some other sort of thing where there's a part of you which is in control, and there's another part of you which isn't in control, which is flowing creatively with the dynamic of the bowl. And that, what that does, or my observation of this, is that it's like you have two types of awareness happening simultaneously. One is the conscious mind, and the other feels much more like lucid dreaming. It's like that part of you which is present when you're sometimes when you're just going off to sleep and you're thinking through things, and then your brain's running super fast, but it feels sort of slow motion, but you're running through the ideas and you're processing stuff. And some people can maintain that on purpose. A lot of artists and creatives, musicians and so on, get into these sorts of states on purpose. So another way of playing a bowl like this would be striking instead of playing. So actually I'm going to try that with this or with that one, just to give you a little bit of variety. what I'm doing is I'm feeling into the bowl to see what it can produce. Hitting on the edge and hitting on the rim. So you might produce a pulse. So by swirling the water. So I'm going to show you with this bowl that I used the other day as well. So you can hear it even has a sort of resonance that's quite reminiscent of things like tabla or some Indian music when you have the combinations of sitars and drums. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm interacting with the bowl in a way which becomes very dialectical, and it's both musical but it also helps take you into a sort of trance state. And the same with using something like that. You could really easily use this for trance. So one of the benefits of trance is to bring you to open up the doorway to the unconscious, or to the subconscious. So as an artist, one of the things I've realised is that firstly the unconscious is pretty benevolent. It doesn't much care how you feel about stuff, but it generally tries to do things which are good for you, and it's possible to open up a type of dialogue so that when you're receptive it passes the goods across to you, and you have to be ready to to understand what's happening and ready to receive the treasure. So these are ways in which you can open up those sorts of internal spaces. Much as a lot of meditation so for me, these are tools that help cultivate that sort of presentness, and can be used in meditation, and in creative practice as well. They're a way of opening up a sort of internal dialogue and of entering into sort of an otherworldly state. For the shaman also, they literally calling the spirit world through the sound, and then they're going into trance, and then that part of them is accessing that world. So I hope that was helpful and useful and interesting. Do let me know if there are other things you'd like to know about. I'm making a whole series of informative videos about all sorts of ritual objects. So do subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.